Imagine this. You're walking through a grand old theater, velvet curtains, golden walls, spotlight center stage. The crowd is buzzing. A man stands there under the lights, performing. He's charming, powerful, composed. Everyone's clapping, admiring. He knows how to deliver the lines, hit the marks, wear the smile. And you're watching from the front row. But something inside you isn't clapping, not because he's doing anything wrong, but because you feel something off. And then your eyes drift up, past the stage, past the lights, toward the back corner of the balcony. There's a door, barely cracked, no spotlight, no applause, just silence. That's where the real him lives. And the wildest part, even he doesn't know what's behind that door, because while the world keeps praising the performance, nobody dares climb the stairs and knock on what's hidden. Until you. My friends, you don't attract a man by worshiping his mask. You attract him by reaching for the part of him he hasn't dared to meet yet. You've been told your whole life, stroke his ego, play it safe, don't challenge too much, don't question the act, be agreeable, be impressed, be digestible. But the truth? You don't need to stroke his ego. You need to shake it, not with anger, not with venom, with presence, with truth, with timing, with a calm, magnetic kind of disruption that makes him stop and feel. Now, before we dive deeper into this soul work, hit that like button and press subscribe. Not because I'm begging for numbers, but because I'm pouring soul into this space, and I need women like you to keep it alive. This isn't fluff, it's transformation. So if your gut's whispering, stay with this, trust it. Let's get something straight. A man doesn't fall in love with the woman who protects his ego. He falls in love with the woman who interrupts it, gently, powerfully, without blinking. Because here's the thing, every man carries two layers, the mask he polishes for the world and the mirror he avoids at all costs. Most women praise the mask, but the woman he can't forget, she holds up the mirror. She doesn't insult him. She reflects him. She says the one thing that sounds like a whisper, but hits like a memory he forgot he needed. You seem strong, but are you free? You win a lot, but what are you still trying to prove? Who are you when no one's clapping? Say it calm, say it soft, say it once, and walk away like you already know it landed. This isn't about making him feel small. It's about making him feel something. Because deep in that locked room in the balcony of his mind, there's a version of him even he hasn't unlocked. And when your words ripple through that silence, he doesn't just think about you. He feels you. Days later, in his car, in the gym, in that still moment before sleep, say it with me. If I don't challenge him, I can't change him. So let today be the day you stop being impressed by the performance and start becoming the mirror. Drop a little fun in the comments and claim it. I don't clap, I awaken. Stay with me, my friends, because next, we're going to talk about the exact kind of energy that stirs him more than any compliment ever could. Number one, you can't touch his soul if you're afraid to touch his ego. You don't unlock a man's heart by flattering his mask. You unlock it by disturbing his silence. Let that settle for a second, my friends. Let it hit where it's supposed to, right in the space where your old dating patterns are ready to die. Because here's the real talk nobody's been brave enough to tell you. You can't touch his soul if you're afraid to touch his ego. And I know, your whole life, you were told the opposite. Don't bruise him. Don't confront him. Keep it light. Keep it cute. Smile, laugh, nod. But guess what? That's why he forgot you. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a knight in full armor, standing still in the middle of a battlefield. The metal is gleaming, polished, powerful. You walk up and try to talk to him. You say all the right things, compliment his strength, praise his courage, but he doesn't move, doesn't flinch. You're speaking to the steel, not the man inside. Then someone walks up, real slow, places a hand on his chest plate and whispers, I wonder if you even remember what it feels like to not wear this. The armor doesn't shatter, but the man behind it, he blinks, he breathes, he wakes up. That, my friends, is the difference between attention and impact, because every man has two voices inside him, the mask and the mirror. The mask says, I'm in control, I'm powerful, I don't need anyone. The mirror, that's the voice that asks, but what if I'm not? What if no one's ever really seen me? What if I'm still performing? And here's the punch. He might not even know the mirror's there. But you, if you're brave enough, you can speak to it. Not with aggression, not with volume, but with truth and timing and presence. Now I know what you might be thinking. But won't that push him away? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I offend him and he never comes back? Let me ask you this instead. Do you want to be remembered for being agreeable or for being awakening? See, you weren't made to tiptoe around a man's ego like it's glass. You were made to tap the part of him that aches for reflection. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." That's what we're here for. Transformation, not transaction, real reaction, not polite performance. When you speak to a man's mask, you become forgettable. But when you speak to his mirror, his soul, you become the quiet thought he can't shake at 2 a.m., the reflection he keeps revisiting, the sentence he replays in the shower, in traffic, in stillness. You don't need to destroy his ego, you just need to disrupt it. Interrupt the autopilot. That's when he starts questioning the script. That's when the performance slips and presence enters. So here's what I want you to understand. You don't need to attack it, you don't need to fix it. You simply need to speak what most won't. With calm, with confidence, with care. And if you're bold enough to do that, to gently tug on the thread of his illusion, you become the one he never forgets, not because you entertained him, but because you evolved him. So repeat this with me in the comments below. Your affirmation for today: I don't clap, I awaken. Write this in the comments if you have not already, because this shows me how much this content is making an impact. And stay with me, my friends, because what's coming next? It's the exact kind of quiet disruption that makes his breath catch, not because he's afraid of you, but because he finally sees you. Number 2, be the earthquake, not the echo. An echo is forgettable, but an earthquake, that gets written into memory. Say that to yourself, my friends, and say it slow, because this is the part most women miss. Not because they're not smart, not beautiful, not valuable, but because they've been trained to echo. Most women repeat what they think a man wants to hear. You're so driven. You're really put together. You're the kind of guy most women would want. And sure, it makes him smile for a moment. But then it fades. Because an ego that's always fed eventually stops feeling anything at all. Echoes fade. But earthquakes, they shake the foundation. Let me paint this for you. Imagine a man scrolling through his life, polished pictures, accomplishments, DMS praise, everyone clapping for the image, not the individual. He's got everything in control, or at least it looks that way. And then, without warning, a voice cuts through the noise. You hide behind ambition, but I wonder, who are you when no one's clapping? Boom. That's not an insult. That's a ripple in the system. That's the first time he's been seen without being worshipped. See, the world teaches women to echo. Don't say too much, don't rock the boat, reflect his greatness back to him, and he'll like you more. But a man doesn't crave more of the same. He craves the one voice that speaks to the part of him that's never been called out before. You want to be the earthquake, the woman who shifts something under the surface. Not loud, not rude, just undeniably real. Now I know some of you are scared right now. You're thinking, what if he pulls away? What if I come across too strong? What if I say the truth and he doesn't like it? But here's the flip. If he runs from truth, he was never ready for real. If you have to shrink to keep his attention, you'll spend your life performing for a man who never even knew who you were to begin with. So let him feel something. Let him be rattled a little. Not because you're mean, but because you're the mirror he didn't know he needed. Say it with warmth. Say it with depth. Say it like you already know your words carry weight. And remember this, the ego craves applause, but the soul craves reflection. When you reflect something deeper than he shows the world, that's when you stop being that one girl who liked his posts and start becoming the woman who made him pause mid-scroll, mid-sentence, and mid-life. So don't echo, don't copy, don't clap. Create contrast, create tension, create meaning. You weren't born to reflect the image. You were born to reveal the man underneath it. And if you're ready to start speaking with that kind of impact, drop it in the comments. I don't clap, I awaken. Because next we're about to uncover how disruption doesn't repel men, it pulls them in. When done right, it doesn't just shift the vibe, it changes the game. Stay with me. Number 3, disruption is the door to desire. Desire doesn't start with comfort, it starts with disruption. Let that drop into your chest like a stone in still water, my friends, because we're about to crack open one of the most misunderstood truths about attraction, and it has nothing to do with seduction and everything to do with soul-level friction. Think about your own life. What do you remember more clearly? A sweet compliment you heard once at brunch, or the one person who looked you in the eyes and said something that stung just enough to stay, not to hurt you, but to see you. That wasn't rejection, that was recognition. And men, they're no different. They remember the woman who made them feel not flattered, but faced. You could wear the perfect outfit, say all the right things, laugh at his jokes, agree with his opinions, and he'll enjoy the moment, but he won't carry you with him. Now imagine this instead. You're sitting across from him. He's talking about work, wins, his relentless pace, and you're just listening, not judging, just watching the performance flicker. Then calmly, softly, you say, "You seem powerful, but are you free?" He wasn't ready for it. He didn't even know he needed it. But now he can't stop thinking about it. And because that one sentence didn't compliment his ego, it questioned his reality. And that, my friends, is the key. Disruption is the door to desire. It's the split-second moment where a man realizes he's not just being admired, he's being challenged to rise. You want to know the difference between chemistry and connection? Chemistry is easy, it's fun, it fades, but connection, real connection, begins the moment you stop being nice and start being necessary to his growth. A woman who challenges him without tearing him down, who sees past the gloss and into the grit, who doesn't need to impress him but invites him to expand, that's the woman he obsesses over. Not because she gave him a thrill, but because she gave him a mirror. So stop trying to make him feel safe. Start helping him feel seen. You become unforgettable not when you flatter, but when you invite him into a better version of himself. Drop the affirmation in the comments if you're done playing it safe. I don't clap, I awaken. And stay close, because next we're getting into how to challenge a man without triggering his defenses. There's an art to this, and when you master it, you don't just get attention and you hold it. Number 4, trigger him, but tenderly. A trigger isn't always a wound, sometimes it's a doorway. Breathe that in, my friends, because this is where it gets delicate, surgical even. You want to awaken a man to shake something loose in his soul? Good. But understand this. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to break him to reach him. You trigger him, but tenderly. Not every trigger is trauma. Some are truths he avoids, truths he's built walls around, truths he's camouflaged with control, charm, and confidence. And most people, they don't dare touch those places. But you're not most people, you know? See, the masculine ego is loud, but it's fragile. And while most women either bulldoze it or walk around it like glass, the rarest kind of woman knows how to press just hard enough to wake something inside without making him flinch in defense. Tone, timing, energy. That's your holy trinity. Let me give you a moment. He's telling you about another deal he closed, another move he made, that constant forward motion he lives in. You nod, listen, and then, with no judgment, no sharpness, just still feminine presence, you say, "You always need to win, but when's the last time you surrendered to something real?" You don't accuse, you invite. You see, ego hates being attacked, but soul craves being witnessed. That's the kind of truth that doesn't spark argument. It sparks reflection, it lingers. He might laugh it off, change the subject, shrug, but later, in the quiet, when the world goes still, that line will echo, because it didn't come from anger, it came from awareness. And he felt it not just as words, but as a mirror. You're not here to shame him. You're not here to dismantle him. You're here to show him the part of himself he's been avoiding, and do it with such grace that he doesn't feel attacked. He feels awakened. It's power wrapped in softness, fire wrapped in silk. So let the world keep giving him surface approval. You'll give him soul-level disruption, and not to tear him down, but to draw the real him forward. This is the art of feminine strength, not in volume, but in vibration. So say it with me and drop it in the comments. I don't clap, I awaken. And stay with me, because up next, we're going to explore the secret sauce that makes your words land, not in his ears, but in his body. You're about to learn how to speak with presence so real, it leaves a mark. Number 5, your power isn't in the praise, it's in the pause. Power doesn't shout, it echoes. My friends, if there's one secret most women never get taught, it's this. Your power isn't in the praise, it's in the pause. Most women talk too much when they're nervous, fill the space, patch the silence, compliment him again just to keep things flowing. But the woman who can say something bold and then just go quiet, she's unforgettable. Because silence after truth, that's a signal. It says, I don't need to soften this moment for you. I'm not afraid of your discomfort. I trust what I just said enough to let it breathe. Let's be honest, most people say something real and immediately rush to clean it up. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Just kidding, not trying to be intense. But the woman who knows her power, she drops it. She holds the gaze, she lets the silence stretch, because that's where obsession begins, in the echo chamber of his mind. When he's left alone with the truth you just gave him and no distraction to drown it out. So don't explain it, don't apologize, and don't scramble to make him comfortable. Drop it, walk, let it land. You're not here to entertain, you're here to awaken. So go ahead, drop that truth like a whisper wrapped in thunder, and when it hits, let the silence carry your message farther than noise ever could. Say it with me in the comments. I don't clap, I awaken, and stay with me. Because next we're going to talk about why your presence, not your words, is the real reason he can't stop thinking about you. Number 6, you don't compete with his ego. You dance with it. You don't win a man by beating his ego. You win him by making it irrelevant. Say, now let that sink in, my friends, because this is next level power. Not loud, not forceful, not masculine in energy, but magnetic. You don't compete with his ego. You dance with it. A lot of women, especially the strong, ambitious ones, fall into a trap. They meet a powerful man and think, I have to prove I'm just as smart. I need to outwit him. I won't let him feel like he's in control. But here's the problem. When you try to dominate a man's ego, you become his rival, not his revelation. And no man falls in love with his rival. The wise woman doesn't try to outshine him. She doesn't need to. She sees his crown and then smiles because she's not impressed by it. She knows how to speak beneath it. I see the king in you, but I'm not here to stroke the crown. I'm here to see the man under it. Say that once. Calm, director, game over. Because most of the world only sees the throne. They clap for the performance, celebrate the armor. But the woman who can see behind it and speak to the man who exists without the applause, that's the one he never forgets. You're not trying to knock him off his pedestal. You're simply not hypnotized by it. That's how you feed his evolution, not his illusion. You invite him into a space where he's not just admired, he's understood, not just wanted for what he can provide, but witnessed for who he is when the crown comes off. And that, my friends, is where true intimacy is born. So drop the affirmation if you're done being impressed and ready to be impactful. I don't clap, I awaken. And stay with me, because next we're going to get into the secret of real feminine power, not in shrinking, but in reflecting. And once you understand that, you'll stop competing and start commanding. Number 7, real feminine power doesn't shrink, it reflects. Feminine power doesn't whisper to stay polite, it reflects to stay true. Breathe that in, my friends, deep, because this is where so many powerful, brilliant women lose themselves. Not because they aren't enough, but because they've been taught to shrink in order to be seen, to dim the light, to soften the truth, to take up just enough space to be wanted, but not intimidating. And yet, have you ever noticed? The more you shrink, the more invisible you feel. The smaller you become, the less impact you carry. Real feminine power doesn't shrink, it reflects. You don't need to act small to make a man feel big. The right man, he doesn't want your reduction. He wants your reflection. He wants the mirror, the one thing that shows him who he really is, even if it's not always flattering. Now here's the part that most people don't tell you. The ego, it doesn't like that mirror. It cracks, it flinches, sometimes it resists. But if a man is ready, it doesn't crack, it converts. Because when you reflect truth with softness, presence and poise. He doesn't feel attacked. He feels seen. And that, my friends, is the most terrifying and irresistible feeling in the world to a man who's been hiding behind his image for too long. You're not here to be his fan. You're not here to be his cheerleader. You're not here to fix or flatter. You're here to ignite, to be the mirror that shows him his blind spots without judgment, to be the space where he can drop the act and meet himself for the first time. That's what real feminine energy does. It doesn't chase. It doesn't bow. It doesn't shrink to fit into his idea of manageable. It reflects with grace. It holds steady, and it invites his soul to come forward. So no more apologizing for your intensity. No more watering yourself down to feel digestible. No more shrinking into silence so his ego can stay inflated. You weren't born to stroke egos. You were born to awaken souls. Say it with me. Drop it in the comments like a truth bomb with glitter. I don't clap, I awaken. And stay with me, because in this next part, we're going full circle. We're about to talk about the most liberating truth of all. This isn't about him. This is about you, the woman you become when you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself. Number 8, this isn't about winning him. It's about freeing you. And now, my friends, we go full circle. This script, this truth, this fire in your chest, it was never about hurting a man to feel powerful, never about twisting his ego to get your way. It was about freeing you from the chains that told you to be less bold, less honest, less you. You were never too much. You were just never in the room where your truth was allowed to breathe. This isn't about winning him. It's about liberating you. Because once you stop performing, once you stop biting your tongue, playing it cute, offering soft edges to protect fragile pride, you realize something powerful. You don't use truth to trap a man. You use truth to transcend yourself. That's when it all shifts. You walk differently, you speak differently, you stop chasing love and start commanding it. Not from desperation, not from fear, but from a place so grounded, so unshakably whole, that anyone who enters your space knows they're meeting something real. So the next time you feel that pull to dim your light, to play smaller just to make him feel taller, ask yourself this: do I want his comfort or his soul? Because the man who fears your power isn't your person, but the one who rises to meet it. He'll never forget you. And if something in you just whispered, I want more than crumbs, then press that like button. Not for me, for the version of you who's done apologizing for her fire. And drop this in the comments if you're walking different from this day forward. I don't clap, I awaken. Stay glowing, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one.